Laura knew her husband was going to die 3 weeks before it happened. Not because he was sick, not because someone threatened him, not because there were warning signs. She knew because she had already imagined it. And she didn't stop herself. Sometimes the worst thing you do is nothing. Laura was 34 years old, a clinical psychologist, specialized in anxiety disorders. She spent her days explaining intrusive thoughts to other people, how they didn't mean anything, how they weren't dangerous, how thoughts are not actions. She had been married to Daniel for 8 years. No children, no financial problems, no visible chaos. From the outside, they looked stable. From the inside, something had shifted, not dramatically, just slightly. The kind of shift that doesn't break things, it just loosens them. Daniel started coming home later. He showered immediately after walking in. He smiled at his phone, not at her. Laura didn't confront him. That's what most people would have done. Instead, she observed. She tracked patterns. She memorized the tone in his voice when he said, "Work was long." She noticed how quickly he turned his screen away when she entered the room. There was no proof. That was the problem. No evidence means no closure, and no closure creates obsession. One night, while he slept beside her, Laura stared at the ceiling, and a thought appeared, calm, simple. It would be easier if he wasn't here. She didn't flinch, she didn't sit up, she didn't cry. She just let the thought exist. That was the first mistake. Not thinking it, allowing it to stay. A week later, Daniel told her he had a 3-day work trip. He would be driving 4 hours on the highway. Laura nodded, smiled, helped him pack. That morning, before leaving, he forgot to close his laptop. A notification appeared, a woman's name, a red heart emoji. That was all. Laura stared at it. Her body felt cold. Not furious, not devastated, just cold. When he kissed her goodbye, she held it half a second longer than usual. Not out of love, out of awareness. At 11:42 p.m., her phone rang. Unknown number. There had been an accident. High-speed collision. Severe impact. Instant death. The words were clinical, clean, final. Laura thanked the officer for calling. She hung up. She sat on the edge of the bed and waited to feel something. Nothing came, and that frightened her more than the news itself. At the funeral, people described him as vibrant, ambitious, alive. Her mother-in-law whispered, "At least he didn't suffer." At least. Laura replayed her own thought from weeks earlier. It would be easier if he wasn't here. Now he wasn't. And it was easier. That was the part she could never admit. She began questioning everything. Did thinking it make it real? Did imagining it give it permission? Did silence equal consent? Rationally, she knew she didn't cause a car accident. She didn't touch the steering wheel. She didn't send a message while he was driving. She did nothing. But the mind doesn't care about legal definitions. The mind cares about intention, and she had imagined his absence in detail. A month later, she gained access to his phone records. She searched for confirmation. She wanted proof of betrayal. Proof would make anger easier than guilt. She found flirtation, late-night conversations, emotional intimacy. But no hotel bookings, no physical evidence, no undeniable affair, just loneliness on both sides. Messages to a friend where Daniel admitted, "Things feel distant with Laura. I don't know how to fix it." That was all. Nothing monstrous, nothing evil, just human. If he had truly betrayed her, her dark thought would feel justified. But he hadn't. He was confused, disconnected, probably scared, and she had quietly imagined him gone. One night, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, Laura asked herself out loud, "If I could go back, would I stop him from leaving?" The question echoed in the empty house. The answer didn't come immediately, and that hesitation felt like a confession. The police ruled it an accident. Case closed. Friends eventually stopped checking in. Life resumed its rhythm. Laura returned to work. She continued telling her patients, "Thoughts are not actions. You are not responsible for what crosses your mind." She said it with calm authority, but every time she did, a quiet fracture opened inside her, because she would never know if that was true. 2 years later, she still dreams about him. In the dreams, he survives the crash. He comes home. He looks at her. Not angry, not accusing, just aware. As if he knows she once pictured a world without him. And in the dream, she cannot speak. She wakes up every time before he does. In the darkness, she sometimes whispers, "I didn't mean it," but she isn't sure that's honest, because the most disturbing part isn't that she thought about his death. It's that, for a moment, it felt like relief. And some forms of relief never leave quietly.